Welcome to the Jones Zone, a podcast by Darryl and JJ Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jones Zone. Today, we're going to talk to Cabo James and Baja Rob, right?
Yeah. Hey, guys.
All right. Today's show is going to be about buying properties in Mexico, and more specifically about Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, which is one of my favorite spots in Mexico. I started going there in the mid 80s and have been there probably 15 to 20 times at least. And we used to vacation there a lot, but it's a wonderful place. But you guys had sent me an email and I thought, oh boy, I need to have these two on the show about Americans, or anybody for that matter, looking to buy some property, not only in Mexico, even more specifically, possibly in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, which again, if you haven't been there, oh boy, I would say go. It's a great place. So I've got a series of questions that I think anybody who lives in America would want to ask those people who currently live in Cabo San Lucas, as far as how to go about buying real estate. How's real estate down there? How's the culture? And anything that would come up. What are the current trends in Cabo, if there are any trends in the real estate market there in Cabo San Lucas? What are you seeing?
We're seeing growth, a lot of growth. Yeah, especially over the last, 3-4 years. Once COVID came in, we also saw a huge spike come in. Cabo is on the move. Lots of people are moving down here, whether it be for vacation, home, rent, snowbird home, 6 and 6, or just coming down here to retire as well. Especially for people from California, it's a quick, short flight. So it's a nice spot to be able to have a second home or move down permanently. But yeah, over the last little bit, we've seen huge growth in new development, new construction, and also people coming down to buy new homes here.
What's the population in Cabo San Lucas? And now is Cabo, forgive my ignorance, but we're going to have to talk about really the details of, is Cabo San Lucas is its own city, and then there's San Jose del Cabo, which is where the airport is.
Correct.
And then is there anything in between?
Together, they're called Los Cabos.
Los Cabos.
Yeah. And then we have so all of the Baja Sur area. For population, it's quite varying because we have a huge influx of people. The actual population is 350,000, but with the amount of people coming in per quarter of almost 4 million flights coming in each time, we see a huge spike, especially over the winter months.
God, yeah. In fact, where I live, I think the population's 40,000. The daytime population's 150,000. So probably somewhat similar.
Very.
So who are you seeing? Are there a lot of Canadians as well, or mostly Americans? Or what do you got there?
I would say as far as home buyers, we're looking at a lot of Canadians, a lot of Americans, some, from Europe, but mostly Canadians and Americans, ages 40 to 60, looking for, either a retirement home or a part-time home or something to invest in because they can see the value of what we have down here in Cabo.
Well, it's just absolutely stunning. What are the property prices in Cabo? I know this is hard to answer because you have such a range of different types of properties, and you have views, and you have lot sizes, you have ocean view. But let's just start with the most desirable, which would be probably on the ocean or ocean view. Actually, are there properties on the ocean in Cabo San Lucas for sale, or do you have to kind of go up or down the coast a little bit to be right on the water? Because I didn't notice anything right on the water other than resorts, but I know there's the, what's that track? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you 14 questions in one breath.
We'll try to keep track.
What's the question? What's the track that's up on the hills at La Paz? It's not La Paz. Pedregal?
Oh, Pedregal, yeah.
Yeah.
At the tip of the Baja Peninsula, yeah.
Okay, so forgive me.
Pedregal, and it's a cobblestoned neighborhood that's been around for 30 years. A lot of luxury homes up there. We're seeing that a lot of people are investing in these large homes and they're putting them on the rental market. 6, 7, 8 bedroom homes. They're seeing value in that and putting them on Airbnb, for example. But we also have, in the same account, people who are buying homes in Pedregal to live there because they love it there. So there's a mix of people within the neighborhood.
Yeah, I've stayed in a house in Pedregal, and it was just great. I think it was 2 or 3 stories, tons of bedrooms. The view was phenomenal. So let me ask you this. Are there properties for sale that are right on the sand?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, they're going up in price, we have limited inventory, but as you get further out, there's more options. But in the Los Cabos corridor, so from Cabo, San Lucas to San Jose, we do have properties right on the beach. You can get a beachfront property, but you're looking at the multi-million-dollar and up type price range.
For example, if you were to take the same home in Orange County and just put it down on the coast in Cabo, it would be less expensive. So let's just get that straight. But there are luxury homes here that are in the multi-million-dollar price ranges for sure.
Well, that makes sense. So that's good to know. So there are those that are right on the sand. What's between Cabo and San Jose del Cabo, where the airport is? To get to Cabo, you head north or
We'd be heading west.
okay, west.
Yeah, west
get
of
to
the
the tip.
airport. There is an airport too in Cabo, but it's more private and smaller. But yeah, from San Jose down into Cabo, you'd be heading west. And then how it kind of works is you have the Cabo area, and then we go up the Pacific. And then from there, we go across into the tourist corridor, which is broken into two different sections, the Cabo corridor, the San Jose corridor, and then we get into San Jose and then further up the East Cape from there.
Got it. Now, am I pronouncing it right? I'm hearing Cabo and Cabo.
Well, he's from Canada. I'm from
Is
the
that
US,
what it is?
So I call it Cabo San Lucas and he calls it Cabo San Lucas.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. I
It's a
detected
Canadian
something.
accent.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay, good. Well, okay. What types of properties are most popular among the foreign buyers in Cabo? I mean, you're seeing condos, beachfront. You tell me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that it's luxury properties with ocean views in golf course communities that have access to a beach club. That's kind of what the trend is right now. That's what's most popular. Like we mentioned earlier, there's a wide range of price ranges and types of properties to purchase here, from the hundreds, up to multi-million dollars. But I think right now it's the luxury property market that seems to be the hottest.
And very much the golf course too. We have 18 golf courses down here. So we said, like you were saying, we tend to get a lot of people, and each golf course community has different communities to suit. You can get a condo or a house, single family home. Each golf course community has multiple different communities within it. So we tend to see a lot of people coming down to buy in one of those golf course communities.
Yeah, when I first started going, it was more of a fishing and a sleepy little town, but it's evolved in the golf. You got the golf community all over there now.
Oh yeah, and growing every day. We got more new courses being launched and announced every single day almost.
Yep.
What's the minimum price that you're probably going to be able to get a decent, let's say even a 2-bedroom condo? What would be in a decent area? I mean, how low does it go?
I would say that you could get a really decent 2-bedroom condo, no ocean view, for, in the 200s, right? No problem. If you want an ocean view for that 2-bedroom, you're getting up to the 450 to 500 range, even higher. And then if you want oceanfront 2-bedroom condo, now you're talking 800s to $1 million.
Yeah. An average sale is roughly around $1 million out here too, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, we have a wide range, a very wide range of opportunity and product available here for all different budgets.
You've got everything from mansions to, like you just said, condos. So are there any restrictions for how does a foreigner, a non-Mexican citizen, purchase a property in Mexico, or specifically even in Cabo?
So the process is quite simple. It's much like the States, the only real big difference is that properties within 50K of the border or 50K of the water are held in a trust. So it's known as a fideicomiso. You hold your property within a trust with one of the financial banks here, not on the books, but they open a trust for you. So that's the only difference really. Other than that, it's a pretty simple process. I guess one other thing in comparisons to the US market versus Canada is you guys have some quicker closes. Our typical close runs about 60 to 90 days, but we use escrow. Process is quite similar to the US.
I had heard too, in fact, it was my wife who just told me this morning. I told her, I said, hey, I'm doing Cabo San Lucas today, man. I'm so excited because we've gone there together. We both love it. And she had mentioned that she had read somewhere that when you go to sell it, you have to sell it to a Mexican citizen. She misled, or
yeah,
I'm misled?
No. A lot of rumors rolling around like that, but no, we'll clear that up for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're here for.
That's not the case whatsoever. Yeah, you don't even have to have residency here to buy or anything like that. Everybody can buy. I mean, you can see the growth and how many. Most of our buyers are all from the US or from Canada, mostly West Coast. And we buy and sell on a regular basis. And there's no stipulations or regulations behind who you can sell to, how you can sell, et cetera. So that's not the case. Yeah.
Well, we were joking before we started about how when I had started going there, it was a sleepy fishing town. And now there's a Home Depot. I think you said there's a Costco and there's a second Costco or Home Depot coming into San Jose del Cabo as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's still a fishing town. It's just not a sleepy fishing town.
Yeah, it's a little more awake.
Well, much like California, Baja California is just an extension. We have all the comfortabilities of everything stateside as well. Like a Costco, like a Home Depot. You don't need to speak Spanish, Mexico Light. So a lot of people do like that as well because it's very simple to make that transition down here.
I liked about it so much was just was it a 3-hour plane ride?
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah.
I mean, from LA area, it's probably 2 hours. From the middle of the country in the US, it's 3 hours. Areas in Texas, it's like an hour and a half. So it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, our top markets are California and Texas. And then, of course, we get into Canada too. Vancouver and Alberta come down as well. But it's short, quick, and easy.
There's an hour time difference. I kind of like that personally.
We're on Pacific time now, and we don't change time anymore. That's new.
Yeah.
That's new this year.
No daylight savings. So currently we're on the same time.
That's worth watching the show for itself right there. All right, good. What are the typical costs associated with purchasing and maintaining a property in Cabo San Lucas? I mean, I'll leave that out there and you could just answer it. I was going to get more specific, but go ahead.
I'm thinking from any investor's perspective. So you've got your closing costs that you need to be concerned with, and they run about 4 to 6% of the purchase price.
Oh, that's a little bit higher than
that's
here.
High. And that's one thing that a lot of people are shocked about when they buy here is that they're not prepared for the closing costs. So let us be upfront. That's going to be a big expense for you if you purchase here, but it's worth it. And then once you get past the closing costs and the purchase price, you have the fideicomiso or the trust, which is what James had mentioned earlier. That's how you have to own the property down here. And there's a yearly fee for the trust. It runs about $500 a year. Then you got to think about your property taxes. Now, this is where people are going to think they're going to get freaked out. It's going to be super expensive. It's not. It's 0.001% of the purchase price per year. So on a $500,000 home, you're paying $500 a year in property taxes.
So a lot cheaper parts of California.
A little cheaper than California.
Just slightly. I think I paid that yesterday for property taxes.
For your groceries, right?
Yeah, that's really nice. Is that for loan fees? And do people have to pay? They can get loans, right? You don't have to pay cash.
Well, that's a different topic, but yeah.
Yeah, no, over the last little bit, we've seen a huge increase in financing options here. We had a lot of people asking, and now multiple banks that are doing different financing. We've even seen the growth of the mortgage broker industry come into play here, where we have mortgage brokers that can help you find the product that works best for you, both here or potentially doing a HELOCing stateside with a property, whatever is going to work best for you. But you don't need to buy outright anymore. There's lots of finance options available.
So you used to have to be cash. Is that fair to say?
Well, for the most part, there were not a lot of banks that would lend. The best option was to pay cash.
Yeah.
Or this is a hot market for seller financing as well, because that's one way you can get your financing to purchase your home, right? So there was a lot of that, but now that banks are coming out, brokers up in the US are helping, our buyers with HELOCs, like James said, it's getting a little bit easier to fund your purchase.
Which I'm guessing has probably helped in terms of increasing the prices when you have more available money and buyers.
Not only that, but more buyers now too, because of those options.
Yeah.
And then it's probably same as lending here, I imagine. In other words, do you have, for example, an FHA product, 3.5% down, or you pretty much need 20% down? For the most part, I know that will vary.
Yeah, it varies. Tends to be 35%, or you start to increase in your fees and rates. But there are options that you can go lower, but the majority are a little higher on the 35% down. But you can go as low as 5% if you wanted, but there's less option.
Yeah, interest rates tend to be a little bit higher here with the Mexican banks.
Although right now it's almost on par.
Yeah, it's getting closer, but yeah.
What does it cost to? This just came up. It's not on my list of questions I got to you guys, but I was just thinking about the rental. I'm guessing Airbnb or Verbo or different things like that. To manage a property, let's say, what would it cost for someone to take to run an Airbnb there? Does that question make sense at all?
Yeah, it does make sense. And there are so many property managers down here and so many different options on how to manage your property. You could just have them do the cleaning and you can manage the schedule much cheaper that way. Or you could just have them do everything and then just pay like a probably at 30 to 35% of your revenue towards the property.
And it changes basically. Again, everything is a range here, right? I mean, even Rotterdam has its own property management, rental, and project management division here. So we handle it. We're what I would call the top end of it, where we handle every single aspect of that. For management side, we're ranging between $100 to $300 to $400 a month to manage a property, and then anywhere from 20 to 30% of the commissions on rentals.
My in-laws actually had a place in Rosarito. And one of the fears is, and I'm guessing this day and age with the ability to put cameras everywhere, one of their fears was renting it out and then never even know about it. And then the property manager, no, not you guys, obviously, but would make money. How can you help the investors feel safe about that not happening? Is it just a matter of cameras and obviously trusting people? But I mean, am I making sense again here?
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's it. I mean, we have preferred partners that we tend to refer, especially our own in-house team, of course. But if they want a little smaller of a service offering for property management, we do have other people in our Rolodex that we offer. But yeah, I mean, cameras are one thing, ongoing touch points and constant communication through your property manager. Even people out here nowadays with the technology that's going on, we have the smart locks that you can give access specifically to one person for a certain amount of time, see when they come in, see when they go. Technology has definitely helped to be able to make people feel more comfortable, but then it's also your property manager just staying in touch, giving you those updates along the way. And that's why we definitely have preferred people that we work with.
All right. Well, that makes sense. How does the process differ from buying a house here in America? What comes to mind?
It's really not much different from an experience that you would have in Canada or the US. I mean, working with an agent, showing the properties. The real main difference is just that you have to purchase your property under a trust if you're a foreigner. That's really it. And then it's a 90-day close. So it's something that you kind of have to get used to, especially if you're used to closing on a home in 30 days, right? It's kind of hard to wait to move into a new home in Cabo,
And if you're financing, it can be even a little longer, up to 120 days.
But otherwise, it's as if you're just, buying a home in the US. It feels the same. It's just as exciting. It's relatively stress-free.
It's contingent on a home inspection. It's contingent on
Sure, all that stuff. Same exact thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, that should ease people's minds. What is the best neighborhood? I mentioned Pedregal. Am I saying that right? Pedregal?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other
Canadian? You say Pedregal.
Yeah, we were talking about the cat. Oh, yeah, that was being filmed, so I forgot. We already had it filmed. Cabo and Cabo. What's your favorite neighborhood? Is there a particular track that you guys particularly like?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
You know what mine is.
I'm gonna run through them, and you just got to stay with me because I'm going to start up at the top of San Jose, and I'm going to work my way down. But
awesome. That's
it's
what we
going to
want.
be Puerto Los Cabos. And then it's going to be Campestre, Club Campestre, which is where James lives, Carencia. And then you've got Palmilla. And then you've got Chileno Bay, Twin Dolphins, which is where the I forget what that
I think it's called the
Montage.
where the Montage is called Twin Dolphins, that area.
Yeah.
Then you've got Cabo del Sol. And then you come on down to Pedregal. What did I miss?
No, and you didn't miss anything. and you'll take notice that out of all the communities he said, only one wasn't a golf course community.
Yeah, true.
Oh.
And if you want to keep going back up the Pacific side, once you get down to the bottom of the peninsula, you can go Diamante, and you can go Rancho San Lucas, and
How big is the lagoon at Diamante?
it's
like
acres
big, where you can go kayaking in the lagoon. It's got three golf courses.
Yeah, and it's a man-made lagoon. So they're trying to give you that feel of, being in a real resort community and around a golf course too.
Were those towns or
Those
housing
are
tracts?
neighborhoods. They're like gated communities.
Okay. I have often wondered too, so that kind of answered my question while I've been there and flying over those beautiful coastlines. I thought, God, I can't believe they're not developing in between TJ and Cabo, let's say. I know it's a little south of that, but so now it sounds as though they're doing a lot of developing north of Cabo.
Yeah, it's growing. The Pacific side is growing a lot.
Did COVID have any sort of effect on you guys during the COVID shutdowns and stuff like that? What were the positive, negative? Tell us.
Okay, well, positive and negative, right? When it first hit, it really just stopped the real estate market entirely. Nobody could travel down here. We weren't selling anything. But what's remarkable is that as soon as travel bans were lifted, we had the busiest real estate market we have ever seen in this Cabo San Lucas, Los Cabos area.
Yeah.
It was my most successful years in real estate was during COVID.
Like Nick was saying, we saw a 35% growth over the first year.
Pent-up demand and people
Yeah,
just...
and you know, this is what happened for this market, and reason why COVID created this kind of success story is that COVID created the idea that you can work from home, you can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
And once people figured that out, why would they sit in their town up in the US or Canada or wherever they live that they don't like when they could be sitting in a condo with Wi-Fi down here in Cabo San Lucas and doing their job from here? We had huge success.
Yeah.
And it just has continued to carry over.
Work remotely.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about though, how was it? You explained how the travel bans is what hurt, but what about the people that already live there? In other words, here in certain areas in the States and California, how are the local requirements during Cabo? In other words, did they shut you down? Because they shut a lot of businesses down here.
Yeah, it was strict.
Yeah.
We couldn't go to work. People couldn't go to work. People were lost wages. It was the exact same thing that you were going through in the States.
Yeah, we had even restrictions down to one person in a car at a time, or the store. Yeah. So you couldn't go as partners to the Costco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. How about crime? I mean, that's something that's on top of a lot of people's mind. How's the crime?
For us, it's non-existent. Of course, if you go out late at night to a club and cause something, you might end up with some kind of issue. But no, here, they have special Turista police. We have a very good presence, and we are what drives the market here, right? This used to be, like you said, was a small fishing village. So the growth and creation of this was from people coming down from the States or Canada. It was built,
On tourism.
So we don't have any issues whatsoever. Actually, they're always super friendly, always willing to help you. You're never going to run into an issue. So contrary to some belief that, some media will spread, safety here, there's never a concern. It's one of the safety.
Yeah, I've never been concerned there. And I'm sure that they've realized that you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, so to speak. So
Right.
I know I felt very safe every time I've been there. So it's funny when people talk about that. Well, you can go to parts of the United States and be in far more danger than
We say that all the time, I mean, it's obviously one of the concerns that people have. But yeah, I mean, I could name off 5 cities right now in the US that would be scarier than walking down the streets of Cabo San Lucas. So
I know I've never felt that any sort of fear in Cabo.
no.
Only if the shrimp were getting to me late, then I'd be afraid of that. But all right, never mind.
Don't drink the water. That might be scary.
Might get a sunburn.
Is that, hey, back to the water though? That'll be a question. So do you have to kind of have a filtration system or get bottled water?
They're mitigating that. So if you buy a home or a condo, it's just smart to put a filtration system in your house. And then, of course, all the restaurants and bars will serve bottled water. Only a small concern if you're just not being very smart that you would get sick from drinking the water, but just
I tell everybody, and mostly in the communities that we talk about, some of the smaller, lower end, you might not get a filtration system in there, but for the most part, these houses are coming with a multi-phase particulate filter. They've got UV light filtering it as well. Then you have your fridge filter running the other stuff that you're pulling from your fridge. I tell clients you can drink the shower water. I don't recommend it to everybody, but
Before or after? After the shower? Before?
as it's coming out of it.
Oh, okay. Good to know. So speaking about water, how reliable are the other utilities? Electricity, internet, Wi-Fi, gas. What do you guys have? Gas there or solar? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we have electric. Company here is CFE is the name. You're metered, so you just pay for usage. A lot of homes are run with gas, propane. So you'll have a tank either on the side of your house or on your rooftop. You get that filled every 4 to 6 months, depending on where you live. Water, in a lot of cases, most cases, you're getting water from the city that fills your cistern, your water cistern, which is anywhere from 5,000 liters to 25,000 liters. And the city fills your cistern, and then you draw water from your cistern with a water pump that pumps it through the house. So those are maybe little differences that you don't see so much in the States and Canada, where you just turn on your faucet and you don't have to worry about water.
So there you do have to at least be conscious of it and be aware that, hey, look, you got to get that filled a few times a year.
But it's filling automatically and just allows you to be able to have a backup in case maybe during storm season you have a power outage or the water isn't from the city isn't filling at that time. It gives you a backup of water that you always have at your place for any time there is a slight disruption, but we don't tend to see that too often.
And then you mentioned storm season. I remember I had talked about how I used to go there every year, especially through the 90s. And I knew the sweet spot was between November 1st, and you correct me if I'm wrong, to let's say probably into May, where you get, and I've been there for Christmas, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, sunny skies, 79 degrees. It's just gorgeous. But tell us when there, because there were some time, and I would, if memory serves me correctly, July, August, September, and even some parts of October can get a little hot. And then also you have a hurricane season there, correct?
Yeah, not as much as the other side does, but we do get, a storm or two per season. We did have one bigger one a while back that kind of got the storm shutter business amplified, but it's definitely not the same. I've lived on both sides. You see a lot more storms over on the Caribbean side than you do here. Even when they do come here, they're much more mild, and the season really doesn't last much longer than a month or two.
Yeah. So it'd be, say, like August and September are the bigger months for that kind of thing.
Got it. What about healthcare? Because you'll have some people that want to retire there, and oftentimes retirees are, of course, elderly. How is the healthcare system there in Cabo?
Well, James and I know a lot about that because we're both we pay for private health insurance.
Okay.
And so I know that's a big concern for a lot of people coming from Canada and the US. I'll give you some numbers just so you can compare. My wife and I used to work in the US, and we'd have it taken out of our paycheck, and it was great. Your employer would help you pay for it, which is great. But if you have to pay privately in the US, it becomes extremely expensive. $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year if you're paying privately. My wife and I are covered on a Mexican healthcare plan that costs us about $2,000 for the year.
I think I might want to move there.
That covers pretty much everything. I mean, there's co-pays and there's minimums. I think you have to pay for 5% of your total costs if it's a major hospital stay or a major accident. But that's my healthcare plan. James can speak to his, I'm not sure.
I go pay as you go.
What's that mean?
It means I don't carry an insurance plan. I don't carry a medical plan. I pay when we need it. I just had another baby here. I call him a Choyero, a Baja-born baby. And not only are the private hospitals that we have a bounty of them. They're everywhere. We have multiple different options. You can pick your favorite. Mine is H+, but we have a lot of different options for everybody. And when you are going in, you're getting US or European trained bilingual doctors. The equipment is top of the line, and it's very, very cheap. I think an ultrasound cost me $50, and it was, very elaborate. And so for me, I tend to do it that way. If as we grow a family and as we get a little bit older, we'll go into a coverage plan. But right now that works for us. So both options are great.
Yeah, I have friends and family that actually, especially for dentistry, they go down to Mexico for all their dental work.
Yeah,
it's a lot less expensive.
And you don't have to wait. You're right in. We even have X-ray labs and blood labs and everything where it's just instantaneous. Go in, get it done that same day.
It's non-issue.
Too, that the locals that live here, by paying their taxes, they are covered too under a socialized program. So there's healthcare for everybody.
Can one just use their American health insurance when they're down in Mexico? How does that work? No? Okay.
I mean, I think you would have to check with your healthcare coverage in the US. I think that you're covered if you're on vacation, I think, like that sort of thing. But if you're spending more than a month away from home, I don't know how healthcare coverage works in the US. So that's just kind of something you'd have to check with your US healthcare.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny. I don't know why, but I'm reminded of a guy that used to set up our trips down to Cabo San Lucas. We'd have a big group of people, and we may or may not edit this out. We'll see. And then one of the persons in the group died. He was a pilot, and he flew down to Mexico. And this was 30 years ago, at least. He was telling me he actually got a body bag and put him in the plane that they were flying. And they had, let's say, 12 people on the plane plus a body, because of the cost and how difficult and how hard it is to get a dead person out of Mexico. I don't know.
I don't know
This is
anything
news to
about
you.
that.
No, I
I'm
can't.
glad I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I can speak to it now, but because my wife's father just passed, he was living in Playa del Carmen. He was cremated, but they just brought the ashes back, and it was just a transportation letter that the funeral parlor signed off on. But I don't know about bringing an actual body back.
All right. Well, that was a weird one. Sorry, everybody. It gets weird sometimes.
This is great.
All right.
I like the way this is going, Darryl.
All right. Good. Good. How does the cost of living compare to the major U.S. cities? Tell us more about the cost of living there.
I feel like we're experts in this market, but not sure that I'm any expert in any of the markets up there. But I do know that, kind of like my theory that I mentioned earlier, if you take the same home in Orange County and you plop it down in Los Cabos somewhere, it will be significantly less expensive. But that doesn't mean we don't have expensive homes down here. The cost of living, so luxury items that you would purchase are going to be actually more expensive.
Yeah, or import items.
Items, because they're hard to get, so you pay more. But grocery stores will be less expensive.
Yeah.
Gas, actually kind of expensive, right?
What is gas? Gas here is about $6 a gallon here in California.
So it's probably comparable to California, actually.
In the current,
Yeah, 22 pesos per liter. So you do the math. I think that's like, it's like
$4 or $5.
Yeah, $4 or $5. So maybe it's a little less expensive than California.
And again, we have a wide range on anything for cost of living, right? If you want to go to a cheap taco stand and spend, $1 for a meal, or spend a couple $100s for one of our high-end luxury restaurants, we have something for everybody. It's like, that's the thing about Cabo, that you can go from one end to the other in budget for almost anything. Normally a little cheaper than most major coastal cities of the US.
That makes sense. A buddy of mine actually had retired in Loretto, and he was telling me, now this was probably 5 years ago, so I'm sure inflation kind of wiped this out and you have to adjust the numbers. But I remember him saying, we live on $87 a week for their grocery bill. But he was very frugal and knew where to get the vegetables and the fruits, and he'd do his own cooking. But I mean, one could really get away with a relatively very low cost if one really wanted to try. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, totally fair to say. It's such a wide range. You can find, the locals, they know where to go to get the cheapest prices on food. A lot of the Americans and the Canadians, they like to stay in their comfort zone, right? And go
Costco.
go to Costco, or go to like the average to expensive price grocery store, and they'll pay those prices. But then you've got places like, there's little grocery stores in Palmilla, which are going to be way more expensive than your average grocery store, right? So there's this huge range. And it's really just a matter of convenience. It's a matter of what sort of budget you want to stay under. What's your idea of living here in Los Cabos? And you can totally do it.
Yeah. If you go pick up your fish from the fishermen down at the beach, fruit from the fruit stand, you can bring your budget on food expense down to very cheap, like you said.
Yeah, the mangoes on the corner with salt and little tapit. What's the sauce called they put on there?
Or not tapit, targin.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So, and fishing. Heck, we didn't even talk about fishing. For those fishermen out there in golf, we already know there's golfers galore there, but fishing as well is an enormous industry there in Cabo, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Huge.
I think it's the Bisbee fishing tournament is maybe the biggest
in the world
sport fishing tournament in the world, if not the second, right? But yeah, Bisbee.
And Bisbee, and that's in October, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Still always be a fishing village, just not as quiet as it used to be.
Yeah, I remember catching a sailfish down there once, and I was around 20 minutes into reeling it in. I told my buddy, same guy that moved to Loretto, I said, my arms are getting tired, man. He goes, no, shut up. Reel it all in. You got to reel it in. You can't let somebody else reel in the fish like that. So I was glad he said that, because after a half hour, I finally got it on the boat. It was really far better that I did reeled the whole fish entire time.
Toughed it out, man. It's yours.
Yeah.
You can call it yours.
Yeah, exactly. So the infrastructure development in Cabo San Lucas, like we talked about earlier. So it's I guess really there's nothing else to say other than there's a Home Depot and a Costco. So I mean, there's plenty of infrastructure. It's fine there.
There's going to be a few more dirt roads than you would see in the States. But I even think coming through and paving a lot of those dirt roads too, because they're now there's a lot more traffic down here. So it's essential. And they're building more water treatment plants, saltwater treatment plants. I think we had a massive amount of growth the last 4 years in the development of condos and homes. And we are catching up a little bit now with the infrastructure, but now there's more emphasis on infrastructure.
And they're allocating more to it all the time because of the growth that we're seeing.
Of course, I thought the dirt road sometimes adds a little charm, frankly.
Well, you know what? That's what a lot of people think who live here. They're like, we don't want these roads paved. We want fewer people here. So don't pave these roads, right? So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, you're not going to please everybody all the time.
Yeah.
So edit, cost of living, safety in Cabo. We talked about that. Any specific concerns for foreigners living in Cabo? I think that would be a good question to ask. Any specific concerns for people living, for foreigners coming to Cabo San Lucas, Americans, or did we already cover that?
I think we covered the safety concern. There's not really, not really much more than that.
I mean, there's only a small amount of culture shock, just not knowing the language. Like James said earlier, you can get by without speaking any Spanish. Yeah. But will your life be easier if you could speak Spanish? Absolutely.
Yeah, I learned a couple phrases when I used to go there. One of them was "Uno más cerveza para mi chango," and that tended to get my buddy who I said that about. That basically what I said. I think I said was, "Give me another beer for my monkey," right, or something like that.
Yeah,
with broken Spanish, but yeah, I had a buddy that was just. He looked like a monkey. What can I tell you? No, he didn't.
And then it seems right to say.
What are the visa requirements for Americans looking to retire or long-term in Cabo San Lucas? What's required there?
Well, first, to buy property here, you have no requirements. You can be a visitor visa. Visitor visas here, you get 6 months at a time, and then you just have to exit the country and come back in. So a lot of people are just doing that. You know, we see a lot of people using for vacation homes or the snowbirds that are doing 6 months on, 6 months off. They just come and go, and they never get a temporary or permanent residency. For those that are looking to stay longer or not to have to worry about that 6 months period, we offer two different residency programs. One is a temporary. Temporary is for 4 years, which you renew each year, and then after which goes into a permanent. Temporary, there's all different kinds of options for how to get it, marriage, kid, family, but normally it's economic solvency. So having a certain amount of savings or a certain amount of monthly income, whether it be from a job or a pension. Those numbers are always changing, but I believe right now it's around 75,000 in the bank for the past 12 months for savings, or 4,500 a month in income to get your temporary. And then of course, if you want to skip that, or you can go directly to permanent, which roughly I think you have to have 300,000 in the bank for up to 12 months or 7,500 a month in income, but you can do either one. And we have also, again, too, the process normally starts from outside the country, going to a Mexican consulate for an appointment there. And
Get
then
your visa.
Yeah. And then you finish the process here. And most people tend to hire somebody to be able to help them with that process. And again, we have a Rolodex of people that we trust to be able to help people through the process. It is always changing. So those numbers may change different times, but it's quite a simple process to get it done. If you want to go beyond just that visitor permit coming in.
Sounds as though most people just do the 6 months. Is that probably
Yeah,
fair
I
to
mean,
say?
our market is a lot of people who split time in two different places, snowbirds, partial retirement. So they don't care about the residency stuff. They just come and go when they need to, and they just can't spend any more than 6 months at a time here. So yeah.
Yeah. There's no giant benefits to getting into the residency program, other than not having to leave the country every 6 months. Once people come into the retirement factor of things and want to stay down here, it's really simple. There's also an investment side. So when you buy a house of a certain value, you can automatically, that works towards getting your residency so that you don't even need that savings portion for the solvency program. You can just own a house of a certain value and you'll automatically get residency.
Tell us more about the climate. I know we talked earlier about the climate where August and September's gets a little windy and hot and stuff, but gosh, and just want to confirm the rest of the year is just stunning. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, beautiful. I would say you nailed it. November through May is the perfect time of year. You've got overnight temperatures in the 60s and middle of the day temperatures in the 70s. Like, it's perfect. And it's dry, so there's no humidity. And then come around June, July, it starts to get hot, but the humidity hasn't come in yet. So you've got a couple of shoulder months there.
Yeah.
And now we're coming into August and we're starting to feel a little bit of the humidity come in and the heat. And so for 2 months or so, it's just going to be a little bit hot and humid. Now, it's not humid like Florida. It's not humid like the East Coast. It's just humid compared to what we're used to most of the year.
Yeah. And even in comparisons to other parts of Mexico, I've lived all over Mexico, and the majority of the rest of Mexico, there's actual high humidity.
Yeah.
This is a desert, so we don't get the humidity levels that we see in, the Caribbean side and Tulum or Playa del Carmen, or even further down in Oaxaca or even PV, part of Vallarta. Not the same here.
Now, I mean, I would say that that's one of the biggest reasons why Los Cabos has seen a surge, because people are starting to figure out that this is pretty much paradise when it comes to weather.
350 days of sun and only a couple days of rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't beat that. I can't beat that. All right. So I'm nearing the end of my questions. So what are the recreational, we talked about Cabo, fishing, any other recreational activities or amenities that are available in residents of Cabo that's common?
Life of dreams out here. There's nothing you can't do. Yeah. I mean,
It's the wild, wild west.
yeah. There's pretty much almost everything, whether you're doing water sports,
Hiking, biking, four-wheeling, zip lining, horseback riding, like kiteboarding.
Kiteboarding. Oh, yeah.
With the
Okay.
parachute sort of thing. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. That
Once you
makes
go
sense.
up the East Cape a little bit more up into Los Barrelas and that, we're the wind sport capital.
It's endless,
Yeah.
literally. And with the weather that we have down here, you can just do it all year long, all day long.
And I remember the ocean temperatures were really very nice down there. I mean, the water's
Especially-
pretty warm.
Yeah, especially on the Sea of Cortez side. So once we get past Land's End, yeah, it's definitely
Bathwater.
Bath
Right now.
Yeah. So I remember I did the parachute and tied to the boat. What's that? Parasailing.
Oh,
Is that
yeah. Parasailing. Yeah.
parasailing? Yeah. That wasn't exciting.
We can see some people out there doing it right now.
Oh, really? That was I wanted to have them to have a eject button, so then you could just fall down the ocean. But I'm kind
That
of
would
a
be
thrill
cool.
seeker. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like. Do you have oh shoot, what's it called? Parachuting or
Skydiving?
Yep.
skydiving? Excuse me.
Right
Edit
down from
moment there.
Medano Beach, you can skydive right down onto right before the beach there. There's a sky limit tour up there. Yeah,
That's fun. Have you guys ever done skydiving? Have you gone skydiving?
I have not.
I have. Yeah, yeah.
It's a freaky thing, man. You should try it if you.
I want to do it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I prefer
It's,
bungee jumping.
Yeah. It's scary, no doubt about it. So, okay, enough about that. So now what about jobs? If someone did want to come down there to work, how's the job market look for foreigners down there, for Americans?
Yeah, in the tourist sector, there's ample amounts of jobs, especially in high, management, of course, real estate, timeshare sales. Yeah, there's opportunities, a lot of opportunity in the hotel, even food and beverage managers, anything to do with any of the major resorts. They're looking for, skilled, qualified people to come in and handle those. And every day we've got another big high-end luxury resort that needs to staff a lot of positions. So there's opportunity in that.
I would even say we're seeing a lot of commercial spaces being built because a lot of expats are coming down here and starting businesses.
Yeah.
So there's another opportunity. And I can speak for, personally, and that my wife started a gelato business. And so those are the types of things people are bringing down here. They're like, I want to get away from whatever I'm doing in the US. I want to start a new business. There's a huge market down here for, the coffee shop on every corner, the beer shop, the whatever it is that you're into, to bring down here and sell your wares.
What's your favorite resort? If someone was coming down just to stay in the resort, I know this isn't necessarily about real estate, buying real estate, but I know I've stayed there many times. I have my favorites, but what's your favorite resorts and places to stay down there?
I have two that I like, and I'll tell you what they are. They are the Thompson Hotel, which is right down here in Cabo San Lucas. Why I like it, it's modern, but it also has a surf break right out in front of it called Monuments. So you could literally sit in the bar and watch people surfing. It's kind of cool. And then the other place I like is the Nobu Hotel. It's on the Pacific side. It's just a little bit quieter, very modern, comfortable feeling, 5 great restaurants. I think it's spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, they're all spectacular. For us, we've been trying to get into the glamping. So we're getting some of the glamping scene going on up on the East Cape or the Pacific side, especially if we're going to do the whale watching up top. We're also part of WorldMark, so we go to the WorldMark Resort to get away from our getaway. My home is my resort.
There you go. Good answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a good answer. Well, let's do this. If any of our listeners want to contact you guys, what's the best way to contact and reach out for any more questions, or if they want to buy something in Cabo or Mexico?
Yeah, jlaker@ronaval.com is my email. And of course, in Mexico, we tend to use WhatsApp a lot too. So I've got my Mexican cell number, which is area code +52 624 147 1728. You can reach out anytime via phone, text, or WhatsApp, or feel free to email me at jlaker@ronaval.com anytime.
And I am rcromar@ronival.com. That's my email. And my phone number, it's a US phone number, 503-432-3191. And you can reach me on WhatsApp on that phone number as well.
Or feel free to reach out to you and you can pass them along to us.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes too. So anybody listening can go in the show notes and get those emails and those phone numbers. And I know when I used to go down there, it's just changed dramatically. It was so hard to make a call out of there because it's like an act of God to try to get, but now it's pretty easy, right? You can call
cell
direct.
phones. I have AT&T. It works down here. So
And I run a Mexican SIM and it's only $15 a month unlimited and North American wide. It's super cheap and convenient.
Goodness gracious. Well, if I'm not down there buying a house next to you guys next year, hopefully I'll see you sometime soon. And any of our listeners, contact them, Cabo James and Baja Rob down in Cabo San Lucas area of Mexico. It's beautiful down there. I can't tell everybody enough good things about Cabo. It's just gorgeous. Thank you both for being a guest here on the Jones Zone, and God bless you. Have a great rest of the year, and contact them, everybody that's thinking about moving.
thanks
Thanks,
Darryl.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.